Hello and welcome back to TNWKS, the Now We Know Show, the show where we discuss a topic of interest and by the end we will have learnt something new and hopefully
you will too.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Buzz.
Now in this episode we are taking another trip, or a nostalgic trip, down memory lane.
Yay.
And we are taking a visit to the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum.
In Milton Keynes.
In Milton Keynes.
There you go.
Well, I'm going to recount my tales
Yes.
from there. Because I went there a couple of weeks ago with Jack, who unfortunately can't be in this episode.
I didn't.
You didn't?
So this is all about me and the rest of the
Yes, I need to
listeners.
persuade you and the listeners to go and visit.
If it's worth it.
Exactly.
This is what I need to find out.
If you enjoy the Now We Know Show podcast, support Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon or join our members on YouTube for early access, ad-free content and exclusive episodes. So, before we get into all those shenanigans, it's time for
Weird and Wonderful!
our classic weekly segment.
I do like Weird and Wonderful.
Now, interestingly enough, kind of as a prelude to the next episode where
Yes.
we're going somewhere really interesting.
We're not going to give away anything yet,
No.
but we are going off to a specialised conference about a subject or subjects that we have covered before.
Several times before,
And we're going
and probably several times again.
We are taking the camera along with us, and we're going to see what we do. But
See how it
that is
pans
for,
out,
that's
yes.
for the next episode. Okay, that's all hush hush.
So this is a clue.
This is a clue. We'll leave it up to you to guess.
Please leave in the comments. All you
Yes.
Big cats are in Worcestershire after multiple sightings.
Well, hey, well, that's the thing in the UK when it comes to sightings of weird and wonderful things such as Dogman, such as the they call it the British Bigfoot and things
Yeah, you
like
got the Beast of Bodmin Moor.
all these things. The
Cryptids.
cryptids, yes, probably the most common sightings are of big cats,
Especially in the UK.
and probably, in my opinion, the most likely to be there.
Well, that's the thing. We're not necessarily talking in this instance about supernatural creatures. We are talking about things that have actually happened.
Well-
People have released large cats into the wild over the years.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so say supernatural, but I mean, from my perspective, if, for example, Bigfoot is real, I wouldn't see Bigfoot as a supernatural creature.
Exactly,
So,
yes.
Yeah, so the big cats. Anyway, tell me about the big cats, because it seems to have just come out this week,
Turkey.
yeah?
Yeah, I think it was last Saturday. So
Okay.
it's relevant.
It's relevant. It's relevant.
The founder of a big cats group has described the moment she came face to face with one of the large predators, as she insists they are real and living in the wild in Worcestershire.
Well, we've seen wallabies.
Yeah?
We were over in, was it Berkshire?
Yeah, I can't remember
It
where
was
it
one
was.
of those, but we saw some wallaby. We spotted them in the film.
Yeah.
Wild wallabies.
Didn't even know it was a thing until we saw them.
So obviously wallabies get let out and are living in the wild.
So after these reports, they've had several reports of black panthers and lynx stalking the Worcestershire and Gloucestershire border.
Right.
And, I mean, considering they're being so prevalently reported, it kind of lends itself to
I mean, I've got to say, some people...
being potentially real.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Yeah, I've got to say that some people do see things and it might be a large house cat. You know, I mean, I'm not being funny. We had some builders in next door and one of our cats went out, Jonesy.
Yeah.
Okay, Jonesy's in black.
Well, you had Kira, didn't you?
Yeah, but
As well.
But he did say, "My goodness me," or words to that effect, being a builder. That cat's gigantic. So you know there are big domestic cats out
Well,
there.
there was another person, I think it was the other next door, that they had somebody in to do the gardening
Oh,
or
yes,
something,
yeah.
and they thought Kira was a badger.
Yeah, they thought they got a badger in the garden.
Now, these are two very fat cats,
So when
not large cats.
when you see something at distance,
Yeah.
and of course, most of these sightings are you're not going out to look for them, so you're kind of getting a glance because you're driving
Yeah.
past in a car or something
Yeah.
like that.
I kind of feel in that instance they can be the most kind of, I don't know, reliable.
Yeah,
Because you're not
unreliable.
looking for them. You
You
just
know, and of course,
happen to
people
be
on
there.
trains and things, they try and zoom in with a camera, and because the thing's so far away,
Yeah.
camera image is wobbling, and you also don't have any scale for perspective.
Exactly.
On it,
Well,
so,
well, in that instance, it could be,
but this
or
lady,
it could not be.
This lady reckons most definitely she's
well, she's the founder of the Big Cats group. So.
Okay, well, it's good publicity otherwise, isn't it? So we shall see. So that's pretty weird and wonderful. So anyway, back onto this week's thing. I am very intrigued about this because the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum is something that has come up often.
Mm-hmm.
And I have fancied going over there myself, and I haven't managed to get there so far. But you did.
I did.
So this episode is going to be a journey of discovery for me.
It is very interesting because it is really relatively close to us. This was like a half an hour journey by car to Milton Keynes. So this is somewhere, for us, relatively nearby. And to me, I don't know why I haven't gone there sooner.
It's the roads.
Jack has tried to persuade me to go there many a time, and for whatever reason, it just hadn't panned out until a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which we finally did.
Yeah, you did.
It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I said, Jack, would you like to go to the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum? Yes.
Okay.
So we went.
And this is the thing, because I want to know whether it was good, bad, or indifferent.
Well, exactly. So I did not expect to see this in what is essentially the middle of Milton Keynes. So we arrive, big building. It's kind of part of a...
I have a question.
Oh, Christ.
Sorry, I've got to jump in with a question, because
What is the question?
I'm the person who's interviewing you about this today. For anybody going, what's the parking like?
Parking right outside.
Oh, there you
However,
Yep.
you do have to pay.
Okay, how much? Do you remember?
Jack used a app called Ringo.
Okay.
But it was like a couple of quid for a few hours. I think he paid like £3 or £4 for like 6 hours.
Oh, that's all right. You know, just some of these places rip you off.
Yeah, and they have like different zones depending on how close to wherever it is you are.
Okay, so the parking is good.
And it's right next to the main shopping centre as well. So if you want to make a day of it, you can go there as well.
Okay.
So, pull up. Next to a couple of food places as well. But first thing you see are, I think, I saw a Dalek. I clocked a Dalek in the window.
Full size?
Full size.
Okay.
And, I'm just racking my brains now. There are loads of other sci-fi things there, obviously. I think it was some
really?
Lego
There's
things.
a clue in the title.
I know that there was a big Sully somewhere along the lines.
Oh, right.
From Monsters, Inc. That was pretty cool. But
I
it was very clear.
And I thought you were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll kill you last, Sully.
You're a funny guy, Sully. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
I lied.
Yeah. Okay, that was a Commando reference.
Yeah, I thought that's what when you said there was a big Sully. I think
lots of Lego creatures and things.
I'm not familiar with.
I'm probably not doing the outside any justice here, but there are a lot of things that say very clearly that this is a place you're going to like if you're a film and sci-fi fan.
Okay, so it already started to tweak your interest.
Yeah, so I was like, got really excited as soon as I saw the outside. Okay. So to get in, you have to go in through some doors.
Really? Doors? They've invented doors?
They're sliding doors.
Oh, right.
Proper sci-fi and everything.
Right.
Up some stairs, which point you see a lot of like cameras and bits and pieces. Like, it's very immediate that you see all this like Star Wars ships.
When you say cameras, is this kind of film?
Film cameras.
Film cameras, not
film,
security
film
cameras.
and Sci-Fi Museum.
Yeah, I know. It could have been security cameras.
I'm not. Why would I advertise that?
I don't know. You just said you could see a lot of cameras.
Vintage cameras.
Right, vintage cameras.
Vintage film cameras used in various film productions. So, first thing I clocked was a lot of Star Wars kind of spaceships hanging down, leading up to what is essentially the foyer, and it kind of branches off into like an arcade, which we didn't go to.
Okay.
And
when you say an arcade, it's like a games arcade.
A retro arcade, which is really cool. But we didn't go to that.
Okay.
And then the main shop and the entrance to the Sci-Fi Museum.
Oh, so you actually go through the shop? Because normally when you go to these places, you come out of a place.
It's kind of...
And you kind of feel obliged to buy a rubber or a pencil.
I like it because it is very much a vintage collectible shop. It's not like tacky...
Oh, you mean like...
I went to the Film and Sci-Fi Museum
I went to the
British
British Museum and bought a rubber.
Yeah.
Or
And I did actually...
keyring.
I did make a purchase that we'll get to later in the podcast. But...
Ooh, excellent.
Obviously, I booked the tickets online and they were around £15 each.
15 quid for an adult? I actually think that's very reasonable.
It was very reasonable, and I would definitely say that it was worth it.
I've got to ask you something, though. I have looked on the website before, and it was talking about pre-booking and booking a slot. which
No.
seemed odd.
No, there wasn't anything to do
And
with that.
I find that a bit off-putting.
Yeah, I could see why.
Because I
but
thought, I don't want to have to turn up at a certain time. And are we going, like, on a guided tour or something?
no, it's very much kind of like one of those kind of fabric barriers that people kind of
Yep.
do up and
That's a good visualization for those listening.
a
He's flinging his arms about.
It's a barrier.
Okay, the ones you pull out of the stand and you let people through.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one. So we got.
You kind of think that.
We got our special. I'm going to reach over to the floor now. I've got our little.
Oh, you had a wristband.
Wristband to say I've paid and everything.
Oh, so that's okay. So you didn't get chucked out.
So we are now entering the museum.
The museum.
And it works out a lot like a big kind of loop. So you start at the end,
right, so
almost.
it's not something where you kind of like go in, move around and find that you've missed something by accident.
It's very much a set route.
Okay, so that not being funny, that helps because it means you're not going to miss things.
Exactly. And what I did like was the fact that the pass was for the entire day, so you don't just go through once.
All right.
You
so
can
if you
go
leave
back.
the building,
Yeah.
go shopping,
And it's exactly
lunch.
what we did.
have some lunch, and come back again.
We went through it twice.
The question, you mentioned an arcade, a retro arcade. Was that outside of the entrance then?
No, so it was up the stairs
Right.
and to the right.
Yeah, but you described it as if before you went into the museum.
No.
So
No,
that's
it's
part
of it as well,
part
but
of
it's
the
a
museum.
separate thing
Right,
to
okay.
the museum.
So once you got your wristband, then you could access it.
No, we couldn't access it because that's a separate thing.
Oh, right. It's not part of the museum.
It's part of the museum
building, but it's a different.
And you get to it via the same place up the stairs.
Okay.
But you've got to book it separately.
Oh, if you want to go and play some.
If you want to go play some retro games.
Right now. Okay. Well, that's good. Everybody can now understand that.
Yes. And
Okay.
it did look. It piqued my interest, and it'd be worth going and taking a look.
So you're in the museum. You've just started your tour. Obviously, as you say, it's a set kind of course you follow, a route. So is this divided up into
Sections.
different sections for different films?
It wasn't. Okay, yes, it was. But it wasn't like you are now entering the Top Gun zone.
You're entering the Star Wars zone.
You're now entering the Star Wars zone. But I'll get to the Star Wars zone.
Did they have a Doctor Who zone?
They definitely did.
They did. Oh.
So I'll start off at the entrance.
Okay.
It was two sides.
Okay.
One side was aliens and predators, which is great.
Did they have full-size alien?
They didn't have a full-size alien, but they did have heads and lots of clothes and things from aliens.
Okay.
And some alternate posters from different countries, which were really cool. It was like, it was very strange, some of the wording. It kind of looked odd. It said orgy or something.
Oh, right.
But it wasn't. But it was alien themed from a different country or something.
Okay, very, very bizarre.
Yes. On the other side, it had Indiana Jones stuff.
Okay.
So it had a couple of the crates from... and I think it did have a replica of the Ark of the Covenant as well, which was really cool. A lot of...
So that's where it ended up.
Yeah, that would be quite fun.
Yeah, it was quite funny.
And they had they had some of the models of the Narcissus, the little kind of ship at the end of Alien.
Sorry, I thought we were talking Indiana Jones
Well,
still.
there's two sides. This is the first section.
You're talking about the escape pod.
The escape podish type thing.
Yeah.
Which was quite cool. They had different sizes of that and a couple of signed shoes and things.
Signed shoes.
Bishop shoes. They had bishop shoes. Yeah.
I love
Which was quite fun.
odd things that these museums get.
Oh, dear me. Well, that's the thing. There's only ever going to really be one pair of these things, isn't there?
Well, that's it. I mean, people are going to, when they come up, if they come up for auction, different places are going to, scramble to get hold of these things. I dare say an awful lot of stuff ends up in private collections.
Yeah.
I noticed, there are some museums around. I think there's a Doctor Who museum up north, which it would be nice to go to and do.
It's in Blackpool, isn't it?
No, the Blackpool one's long gone.
Oh.
It's another one. Which I can't remember what it's called. Or there's that chap who runs it, and I'm sure we're friends with him on Facebook. Anyway, the point I'm saying is he makes sure that in his museum, literally 99.9% of all the artifacts that he's got in the museum are all genuine. I can see how some museums that's not going to be possible. So
Yeah,
I don't kind of mind seeing stuff.
That was the thing. I thought because I hadn't really considered replicas being displayed in museums really that much before. But I think this one had a healthy balance.
Yeah,
It had a really healthy balance
what
of genuine articles.
That's where I was going.
As well as replicas.
Yeah,
and
so
when it was one or the other, it would definitely say
this is a
replica of the Ark of the Covenant or whatever.
Okay.
Which was really nice.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if they're duty bound to actually say that, so they're not misleading people.
I don't know.
But there you go.
So that was kind of the first portion
Okay.
of the museum, as memory serves, which was really good. Indiana Jones, Alien vs Predator. That's right up my street, our street. We love all the alien stuff.
I remember when Indiana Jones first hit the cinema back in the day. I watched that 7 times in a row. I wanted to go. I wanted to go. We used to hide behind the seats when they kicked everybody out, and then when the next lot came in, we'd sit back up again.
I don't think that work with advanced booking now.
No.
But yeah, just up there, which I've just noticed, there's an alien hanging off the shelf in a rather precarious position just off screen.
I thought you put him there.
I did not, and I'm very glad he hasn't fallen over.
Well, if there's a clonk halfway through this, then we know what's
You'll
happening.
know. Oh dear.
Anyway, so
the next
section,
things that struck to mind. What's the robot from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
That's Marvin.
Marvin.
Paranoid android.
Yeah, he had that.
I'm so depressed.
Ludo from Labyrinth.
Yep.
And that was really good.
Stinks.
Great impression. Great impression.
Everybody loves Ludo.
You had an original Cylon.
Oh, zoom.
Yeah,
Zoom.
from Battlestar Galactica.
That's it.
And a big section of
I love the original Cylons.
Top Gun.
Top Gun section.
That. And I think they had a bazooka from Beverly Hills Cop as well.
Okay, that's an unusual.
I know. And then beside that, they had like a model of the Orca, the ship, or the boat.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to get the full size one in there.
From Jaws.
Jaws, yes.
And with a little model of Bruce, the shark.
Quinn's boat.
Yeah. And they did actually have an original prop from the film there.
Did you get tempted to stand by it and say, I think you're going to need a bigger boat?
That would have been really cool to have filmed. Well, talking of that, before I go back to Jaws, one thing I wasn't too sure on when I was there was the kind of... it was kind of told very, assertively that you can only take pictures at certain points because of licensing.
Actually, that's a good question.
And hiring of certain props and things.
Right, okay.
Because other museums are very fast and loose. They're take as many pictures as you want.
Well, that's it. When we went to the
Harry Potter place.
Yeah, Harry Potter. You'd think that Warner Brothers would be very peculiar about that.
Yeah.
And it's no, take as many photos as you want. Please post them up online. Send them to us. It's brilliant promotion. I know that when we've been filming ourselves down at Pinewood Studios, on the occasions we used to go down there, I used to love going to the security section, the office at the beginning before you go into Pinewood, because they had some of the original alien artifacts in there. They didn't have a pulse rifle, and I think they had a miniature maquette of the original Alien or Queen Alien. It was from Aliens,
and a couple of things from
which was all a bit falling apart, But that one had no photographs.
Yeah,
but just to finish off on that one, when we went over to the House on the Hill Toy Museum, which we've done a podcast on, that one again is take as many photographs as you like.
Exactly.
And I actually feel the take as many photographs as you like does two things. One, I think it makes the visitor feel more welcomed, and I actually do feel that it's not a case of if you put those things online that people are going to say, well, I've seen what's in the museum now, I'm not going to bother going.
No,
I actually think it has the opposite effect. It's oh wow, that looks really cool, I want to go. So
definitely.
But this one, it had
designated selfie points.
Is that what they called them?
Yeah, they had signs up saying you can take a selfie of Ludo.
All right.
But I mean, with some creative angling, you could get some other stuff in.
Yeah, it's like when you're at what's we call it, a sci-fi con, Comic-Con or something, and you say, hey, let's get a photograph of ourselves, and you've got the people doing the signings behind you.
Or whatever. You don't want to take the mickey, do you?
No, you don't want to take the mickey.
And I would certainly encourage people to go and visit the place because it's really, really good.
Yeah.
But again, we're in the first room.
Okay, would you say that's a plus or a minus?
What, the photo thing?
The photo thing.
I think as any visitor, you're going to want to take photos.
Yeah. So you're going to kind of be a bit like...
Initially,
oh, no.
I'm not going to lie, I did feel like that's a bit of a shame that I can't take as many photos as I'd potentially want to, or feel like if I was going to take a picture, I'm going to be like descended upon by staff.
By staff. Anyway, so okay.
But again, still in the first room, going back to Jaws, they had the radio that Quinn smashes in there, which was pretty cool. I didn't expect to see that, and that was really fun.
It's nice that somebody picked the bits up.
And then you had one of the aliens from Independence Day in the corner.
Oh gosh!
As well.
Taking that wasn't full size, was it?
It was pretty big.
Because they are big.
It was pretty big.
The suits.
I think it was probably a replica.
Oh, hang on. Actually, let's be clear on that. Is it the alien or is it the
suit?
The suit.
The suit. I mean, it could have an alien in it for all I know, but I think it was probably a replica.
Okay.
Probably a replica, but it was very big, very big, and there's a lot of Star Wars stuff kind of scattered around, lots of phases and models of the Enterprise and things scattered around as well. But the main part of this first room, that something I never expected to ever see, really. And this was actually a very, I say a model, it was a massive model. And it was...
Come on, tell me.
The Iron Mole.
Oh, I know what that is.
The Iron Mole.
I know what that is. I wonder if the listeners know what that is.
Doug McClure and Peter Cushing film At Earth's Core.
Yeah.
And
we're in Pellucidar.
Exactly. This was a very, very large model that was under some restoration.
Was it original?
It was the original.
Wow.
I know. And it's having some restoration work done on it. So
it
looks in a bit of disrepair.
But that's an amazing bit of kit.
It was huge. I would say if it was in here, it would be the only thing in this room.
Well, that big.
That big. I kid you not. It was very, very large.
Because originally, when you watched that movie, the actual mold did work.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. You had all the rings and the chain.
Bits on
you
the
could
sides.
see like almost like bicycle chain for the things on the sides and things in it as well, which was really cool.
Oh man, that sounds really cool.
That was probably one of my highlights of the entire.
And that's interesting because
visit,
obviously
to be honest.
Your age.
Yeah.
I went to the cinema and saw that movie, and when before going and seeing that movie, my memories of that were we get the sort of the daily newspaper would come in, and it would suddenly reveal that this new movie's coming out called At the Earth's Core, and of course the newspaper's all black and white, and so I would cut out. I remember, do you know, I might even have some cuttings somewhere. But I used to cut the cuttings out because they had like the pictures of the monsters,
the Mayhars,
and the one that breathes the fire.
Oh, the little kind of fire frog thing.
You know, but actually that movie's got quite a few different monsters in it.
It does,
and
I love it for that.
And the thing was, I remember being a kid and cutting those out of the newspaper with the eager anticipation of seeing the movie, because when you saw the movie, once you'd seen it, it'd leave the cinema and you're not going to see it again.
Exactly. Until obviously home video and things like that,
which it wasn't invented when that came out.
Precisely.
So you didn't even know you were going to see it again, and it was and I loved that movie. And then to find all these years later, that you're saying to me that was a special moment for you, to see the original. Oh, that's crazy. Who would have thought when me as kid, young Buzz. Was getting all excited.
I know, because I always remember. Every time I saw it on the TV growing up, on like the horror channel or whatever.
Show it enough.
They don't show it enough, especially like that and Warlords of Atlantis and Land That Time Forgot.
Good old Doug McClure.
All these Doug McClure movies and things that everyone takes the Mickey out of all the time.
Movie.
But I love the practical effects in them. They are really, really cool.
But as I was saying, me collecting the bits and going to see the movie, to not even at that point in my life ever knowing that in the far distant future I would have a son that would find the highlight of his days to see the Iron Mole.
Yeah, I know.
How weird is that?
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Exactly.
So, moving on.
Oh, hang on. I think we've got a plane coming over.
I think it's the staff.
They've
caught on you.
Got to say, while we're recording, summer has returned for 2 days in the UK.
2-day special edition.
It's about 28 degrees at the moment, and the studio is very hot.
Yeah.
Got the window
open.
open.
The tower studio.
Yeah, anyway. We're up in the tower, so we're right up in the roof, and you've got the window open. So if you hear a plane coming past, you can pretend that it's actually...
it's atmospheric.
It's one of the fighters from Star Wars, where they're in space going... Thug, 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 thug. But there's no sound. But there should be no sound in
Okay.
space.
Okay. So moving on, we're going into.
I'm going off on a
We've gone
tangent.
to the threshold of the next.
Okay, we're past
room.
the Iron Mole.
We're past the Iron Mole.
Your excitement has been whetted.
I've got a Ghostbusters backpack.
Oh, what are the... Oh, what's the word for those? Oh...
Oh no, Glenn kick us.
Glenn will be annoyed that we've forgotten.
What was it?
Oh,
The busting pack.
yeah.
Oh, that sounds so... Oh, why? I should know.
Has the coil in it. Oh, I can't think of it.
Proton pack.
Proton pack.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, memory. Anyway, so I had that.
Everybody was screaming.
That was very cool, and I'm pretty sure there was a Slimer somewhere along the lines as well.
He didn't burst out of a pile of rubbish in the corner. Then.
Oh, I wonder what that was. I'm joking. And then there was a relatively large Space 1999 section.
Ooh, nice.
With a lot of
the Eagles.
With the Eagles, isn't it? Tiny little eagle over there, but they had a lot of the original models.
All right.
And they had one of the, I think it was Lunar Buggy.
Yep.
Were they yellow?
Probably.
Buggy?
I can't remember.
But it was like a full size one there that was pretty standout. And obviously they had a big kind of diorama of the lunar surface and the base as well, which was really cool.
Yes.
And then beside that you had
Moon Base Alpha.
Yeah, a couple of the actual alien heads as well. I had one with an eye patch.
Oh, what?
From Space
Characters
from the show, which was really cool. And beside that, you had kind of like a Jerry Anderson, like Captain Scarlet section as well.
Scarlet,
Indestructible Captain Scarlet.
This is the voice of the Mr. Ons.
Perfect rendition. But there was a Captain Scarlet puppet there, which was really cool.
I need to do it. This is the voice of the Mr. Ons. Yes, that's a bit more of an echo on it.
Oh, I just want to say, Stingray!
Did they have Stingray there? It's Aquamarina.
You know what? Saying that, I think they had something to do with it there. But it's not like...
It's not complete unless you get
not coming in my brain.
Stingray with the aquamphibians.
Yes. That was gross. That was entirely gross. Allow me to get back on track.
Okay.
Then it was kind of the Red Dwarf section.
Oh, excellent.
And you had your bazookoids. You had, I think there's a couple of Rimmer hats and things there. But the main thing of that, for me, was the Inquisitor's mask.
Oh, they had the Inquisitor there.
I am the Inquisitor.
That's it.
They didn't have a time gauntlet.
You have been... No, this is one who judges people.
Yes,
That's
from
it.
Series 5.
That's it.
Yeah, that was really cool. Because it's so cool, because it like looks amazing, and then it just flips up and you're looking back at yourself. It kind of looks a bit silly there. But yeah, the helmet, great design on that. And then beside that, you had... Red Dwarf.
Yep.
You had a Siren Head.
Oh, excellent.
And the Emo Hawk.
Oh, yeah, the Emo Hawk, the puppet.
And I was just looking at Jack at this point, and he hasn't really seen much of Red Dwarf. He's just like, what is that?
Oh, Jack, mate, you're missing out.
Missing a treat, dude. You're missing a treat.
Did they have a siren straw?
No, but they had their head.
They should have had a straw. That's funny.
Honestly. And then beside that, actually quite uniquely, they had like a recreation of, the series Sherlock with Cumberbatch.
Yes.
They had a kind of flat, like recreated of that from that program. I haven't obviously seen it, but it was very much in detail.
It's one that kind of bypassed me there. I mean, I love Sherlock Holmes, and I love the... I think, was it ITV or BBC that did the series?
ITV, the one you're talking about.
Yeah, with that was brilliant.
Jeremy Brett.
That's it, absolutely fab.
When
it comes to the TV incarnations of Sherlock Holmes, he's like, nobody can get close to him.
Yeah, definitely. And then we move on to the Doctor Who section.
Hooray.
Huzzah! So they had a whole TARDIS console. They had...
Which one?
It was classic TARDIS console.
The big white one.
Yeah. You had an Ood head, which was a selfie opportunity.
What, you could have your Ood head selfie opportunity.
Yeah, you can go, oh look.
It's an Ood.
And you had a lot of, I think you had the 6th Doctor costume, along with Perry's costume, and the 4th Doctor costume from City of Death, I believe.
A skin-tight t-shirt and a pair of shorts.
Pretty much. Along one side, and then you had all the modern Who stuff on the other. You had a massive exterior of the TARDIS as well. You had a Zygon pod from the Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion episode. That was pretty cool. You had Sontaran, one of the blue ones.
Oh, one of the new modern blue ones.
Mm-hmm. And I think you had like probably
Sontaha.
the biggest Dalek, obviously, no question. And it was like imagine like a speeder bike.
Yeah, from Star Wars.
type thing. I think it's from the Rings of Akatem, where they had Matt Smith going between two planets in that. They had that there as well, which was actually pretty massive, which is pretty cool. You had the Event Horizon, I believe.
What, from Event Horizon?
From Event Horizon.
Well,
Moving on a bit, yeah.
It's funny when you went in there and you said you saw these posters and you sort of said something almost read as it being orgy, and I'm thinking sci-fi. I thought that was the first movie that came into my head, sci-fi.
Well,
Event Horizon.
they did have a lament configuration a little later on.
Yeah, because listeners, viewers, that's the thing. If you watch Event Horizon, the best way to watch Event Horizon is to watch it with a kind of feeling that it is actually a what's the films I'm looking for?
What? Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, thank you.
There you go.
But it is an actual it's in the same universe as Hellraiser, because when you actually consider that they have kind of breached this portal into this other dimension, you really feel that
it's got so many Hellraiser vibes.
Yeah, it's definitely a Hellraiser sci-fi movie. Really.
Exactly.
You know, so yes, thankfully, well, I don't know if it's thankfully, but the orgy scene in that got lost, didn't it?
Oh, God.
I think they filmed it.
They filmed it, but it was too distressing. I think that's just good advertising, really.
Yeah.
And I think it was subsequently destroyed or something.
Yeah.
So
well, when we say orgy, it's more of a killing orgy, isn't it?
Oh, God.
You know, but yeah, that's a movie. If you've never seen Event Horizon, go watch it.
I would definitely recommend that. I'd recommend that film.
And who's the actor in Jurassic Park?
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill, yeah. It's really weird to see Sam Neill
as the villain.
As the villain, you know.
In Daybreakers, he's the villain as well. He does. That's the vampire movie. Anyway. Probably the weirdest thing I saw in there.
Okay.
Was, the Master John Sim.
Yeah.
They had like a mould of his head in a cabinet. Yeah, but by this Doctor Who section, I was like, that's weird.
That's weird.
It was like so weird.
Okay.
It was just like without context. It was like I can't see when they would need that in the show at all.
Okay. Well, sometimes they have to have these things.
And then they had kind of it was like a model, like it wasn't from anything, but it was like a time machine type thing. It looked like a scale model of like a room with like coils going around and things. It was just randomly there, but it looked pretty cool, and you had buttons you could press and things. Which was
okay. So was this something from a movie?
Or? No, it wasn't. It was just there. It was like like an artist's impression of a time machine, if it were a thing.
Oh right.
It was random, but it was pretty cool.
Okay.
But that led onto the Stargate section.
Oh, bit of Stargate.
Now,
I love a bit of Kurt Russell.
You say,
or was it Stargate the TV series?
A bit of both, I reckon. I'm not the biggest know-it-all of Stargate, but I do remember
Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Mallorca, Stargate, Ibiza.
What?
I don't know. Stargate seem to have so many different Stargates.
But they did have things from the movies, which were really good, and obviously the series, which was pretty cool. I think they had one of those guns. The kind of weird guns that goes
ones that
back
flip
and
out.
forth. Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. And
those kind of Egyptian style guns.
Yeah, it was really cool. As I say, I don't really know too much about Stargate, so I'm probably going to...
You've seen the movie.
I've seen the movie and I enjoyed the movie, but I'm not going to do Stargate much justice in this podcast.
Right,
because of all the things, I'm not as familiar.
The TV series.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's nice to know someone that.
On the opposite side,
yep,
you had a lot of costumes and things. I can't remember exactly what they were from, but in front of them you had a sword. Now, what is a good kind of sword and sorcery movie?
Conan.
Well, yeah, but name another one that's talked about but not like held in such high regard. You made me watch it, and you apparently listened to a radio interview with a certain individual who was interviewed on the radio about this film but wanted to talk about other things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, got it. Yeah, I got it.
What is it?
You're talking about the
Go on.
No, I know this.
Go on.
I know this.
Go on, Buzz.
I can see the sword.
Yeah.
I can see everything
It's a
about
very funny looking sword, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the elf stone in the handle, the grip in the elf stone. Oh, Hawk the Slayer.
There you go.
Got it.
They had the Hawk the Slayer sword.
Is it the real one?
It is.
Flipping heck, they actually got that.
Like, where on earth did they dig that up from?
I know. I'm just that movie. It's kind of between good and bad.
Yeah, but that's why I love it.
Kind of classic.
Bernard Bresslaw, I was talking
Bernard
about.
Bresslaw, yeah, because he was being interviewed. I remember it so well. He was being interviewed on Radio 2.
Yeah.
And he literally didn't want to talk. I think at the time, because he's not with us anymore. At the time, he was featuring in a play, and he wanted to talk about the play he was in. And then they opened the phone lines up to people to ring in. And there's one guy phoned up, and all he wanted to talk about was Hawk the Slayer. And you could tell that Bernard Bresslaw was trying to distance himself.
Didn't they have a guy with an eye patch and somebody with a crossbow?
Yeah, the guy with the eye patch and the crossbow, because he got one arm, he's been in so many other movies. And the actor, I'm not doing him justice because I can't remember what his name is.
I've thought it again.
But he's been in a lot of stuff as well. And but I just... Yeah, Bernard Bresslaw was just trying to distance himself from Hawk the Slayer because he was obviously the giant, and which is interesting because he also played the Cyclops in Krull.
I like Krull.
But that was a funny interview. But that is that movie though because it's got such 80s
vibe.
It's the music,
because
it's all like done on an electronic keyboard, which is so odd to the fact that it's a fantasy movie.
So. Now I'm going to move on.
Oh, this sounds like a really... far, you're intrigued me. I'm wanting to go.
See, thing is, I'm recounting this from what I can remember from my mind, and
you certainly can't. You certainly can't check your photos.
Well, anyway, what I do know,
cheeky buzz,
to kind of persuade me to also go back again, is they're actually doing a lot of expansion work as well.
Ooh, more things.
But back to where we were. In my memories,
Hawk
recounting.
The Slayer's elven mindstone sword.
This was now going to be Jack's best bit of the tour.
Oh, shame Jack's not here. You'll have to... Can you pretend to be Jack?
I don't think I can do it justice. I can't do that performance.
Okay, Jack. Zach's going to do his best for you, mate.
So, they had 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, right. Did they have any cavemen with bones?
No, they had the suit. They had the kind of orangey red space suits.
Yes,
as well as like a model of...
Open the Bombay doors, Hal.
Of the Jupiter ship, or whatever it was. I can't remember the name.
I can't do that.
Hal.
Yes, I said open the Bombay doors, Hal.
It's not Bombay doors.
He does. He wants the Bombay doors.
Pod Bay doors.
Is it Pod Bay doors?
They don't have bombs. Why would they take bombs to Jupiter?
I don't know. I thought they wanted to blow something up.
Anyway. So they had that suit, and it was very lovingly presented in like a kind of like diorama type thing.
I was probably thinking of Dark Star then. Bombay doors.
I haven't seen it. Sorry.
Very good.
It's over there.
I would like to see a museum that's got the Dark Star alien in it.
Oh, the beach ball.
The beach ball, of course.
We could just do a recreation. How funny would that be?
That would be.
Just put a beach ball in a cabinet and say Dark Star.
Dark Star, yeah. Anyway, so we're in there, and you got...
And they had the typewriter, which types 2001
the Velcro shoes that the air hostesses wear.
They had a model of that pod ship
there,
and you could see into it, and they had a little model of that hostess in the elevator, which is very cool. I was like, Jack, look in there. And I was like, oh my god, it's the person from 2001: A Space Odyssey. So it was great to see Jack enjoying himself as well. But then, possibly the most grand of all of the displays was the Star Wars section. Okay, so this was kind of odd because in the center you had it kind of looked very much like a spaceship kind of display wise. It wasn't any specific Star Wars spaceship, but in the center you had like a model Earth with a light in it, and there was lots of music playing, which was quite nice. And I was, funnily enough, I think the bit that I caught onto the music playing was actually the theme from Alien 3.
Okay.
So it was odd that this was going on, and I had obviously Star Wars and other things going on. But they kind of had it split off into different sections in here, but in more of in the round type of.
Because I know when we were in the House on the Hill Toy Museum, they got that massive sort of display cabinet with all the figures and everything.
Well, that's the toys, but they didn't really have the toys in this particular section. It was more props.
So
from
this is
the
props
movie.
from the movie.
They had blown up walkers, so 8080s
Okay.
from like Hoth and everything. That was pretty cool. You had a Darth Vader helmet. I think it was the stunt helmet worn by David Prose, who obviously did the stunt scenes in Star Wars. Lots of prop guns actually from Star Wars, which was very interesting. You had, I think it was the prototype guns that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker almost had.
Okay.
For the film as well, which was actually quite interesting to see. They look very bulky, actually. You had a set of Ewok pants.
When I was working on,
I thought you were going to make more of a comment on the Ewok pants.
No, you talking about the
That's
guns.
worn by Warwick Davis Snow. They were.
No, you brought well, I was called sweaty Ewok pants. No, you said about the guns just reminded me when I was working on the Rise of Skywalker because they gave me, I was a creature performer in that, and they gave me this wonderful gun. It was called Blue Lightning. And it was like, you had all the stormtrooper guns all lined up and everything because I had to go to the armory.
Yeah.
You had to walk through this armory tent, pick up my gun. It was
Get
like
it checked in, checked out.
Checked in, checked out, and that was a good fun gun. That was.
Yeah.
But unfortunately didn't get to see it in the movie. So there you go. But yes, Star Wars guns.
Well, at least you can draw that. We've got Tina, who's obviously been in another Star Wars movie, and the best drawing she could do of the gun she was given was a picture of a banana.
That's it. It looked like a banana.
Oh, by the way, I was on the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, that was it. That was funny. That was because we were kept asking. I said, "So what will you be doing today?" Oh, I don't know. We're kind of in some kind of rebel base or something. And then she kept saying that we had to escape in a spaceship. And then it wasn't until we got to the actual movie and watched it, they were all escaping on the Millennium Falcon. And we went, "You're telling us you were actually on the Millennium Falcon?" Well, I don't know. It's like,
this was painful, by the way.
Come on, Tina, you're on the
Come on, you're on the
Falcon.
freaking Millennium Falcon. You're a legacy character now.
You didn't know.
Deary me.
Well, I don't know what it is.
You had a rather kind of dead-looking Chewbacca costume.
Oh, well, again, go back to the House on the Hill Toy Museum. It's that Chewbacca is bad enough.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a good Chewbacca costume when
Lifeless.
No, they just look like a lifeless skinned
Yeah,
thing.
I think they had a couple of Astro droids there as well, which is quite cool.
You said it correctly.
Yeah.
Astro droids.
Not R2 units.
Yes, like they keep saying.
I'm looking at you, the acolytes. Honestly,
Yes,
I mean, come on.
You kept saying these are R2 units. They're not R2 units.
Then explain R4 units then.
Astro droids. Get it right. They can't even get their own stuff right.
They, Rogue One. They had the big robot from that.
The big grey one.
Yeah.
That was sort of been reprogrammed.
Yeah, the one that was kind of like.
That's cool. That's cool.
It was very kind of like satirical.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they do that with Star Wars. They do like giving the robots personalities, which I don't mind when it was C-3PO and R2-D2, because they were kind of Laurel and Hardy characters. Yeah. But when it got to the Phantom Menace and stuff, and they kept having this Roger, Roger, and there's silly stuff.
You stupid little astro droid.
And you think, oh no, you're spoiling it there.
Oh well.
Anyway,
I have a good nostalgia for the prequel trilogy.
Yeah. You kind of get movies and they make you wince.
Yeah.
And then you watch them again years later and you go, okay. So I kind of
you've mellowed
to it, except for your Jar Jar Binks.
And I'm pretty sure they had a Jawa, but it had with the light up eyes as well. It was pretty cool. I'm not sure if that was original, but it looked pretty cool in the cabinet.
Cool. Okay.
But this was interesting in this Star Wars section because tucked away in a corner, this wasn't very clearly on display or anything. They had a Blake 7 section.
They didn't. They didn't.
Yeah,
they didn't.
They did.
They did.
They did.
Nah.
Yes.
Nah.
They did.
Gosh, Blake 7. Way.
Now, there wasn't allowed to take pictures or anything of this.
The theme music was just going through my head.
And there, the wreckage of the Liberator there.
Oh, it got blown up.
It was pretty beat up, not going to lie.
It was self-destructed, wasn't it? Because it had it was kind of like
it went
metal
through like
virus.
a metal virus cloud thing in season 3.
Ultimate power!
And they had a Federation guard outfit there as well. I'm pretty sure they had a little Scorpio as well as one of the guns from Scorpio as well.
Okay, yeah, they'll be quite. I quite like the Scorpio guns, the handguns. They were quite. But yeah, kind of like when you had that season with after you lost the Liberator, you've obviously lost Blake, and you've got. You've not got the original Blake 7 guns anymore. It kind of when it actually aired, it was kind of like, because it was kind of because I never felt the same without having actual Zen and everything.
Well, that was the thing. Everyone always wanted.
I never
this,
liked Slave.
Everyone always wanted this Doctor Who Blake Seven crossover, but unfortunately that never happened.
Well, they should have done, because Terry Nation did push for the big space invasion, where this invasion fleet is coming across to invade our galaxy.
Yeah,
I know that, to me, when you get that cliffhanger at the end,
series two,
when they get to like push the fire button, and all the lighting goes down.
Yeah.
It is probably the best cliffhanger of any TV series I've ever watched.
Definitely.
It's just amazing. It just doesn't get old.
Yeah.
You know? And you'd never seen it before. And when you watched it, you were like, no!
Quick, put season 3 in now.
But it was meant to be the Daleks. And I reckon that would have been really cool. And there is a fan film company out there called Johnny Who Entertainment, and they have kind of done a bit of Blake 7 Doctor.
That is true. That is very true.
And so if anybody listening looks up Johnny Who Entertainments, you will find that they have kind of followed that theme with the Doctor Who Blake 7 crossover. So they had an actual Blake 7 section, and I think that's really both unusual and very.
It was very cool, but it was again very tucked away. It wasn't clearly advertised, this particular section, which is a shame, because obviously it is probably at this point a very niche fandom.
Well, it's coming back.
But it is coming back.
They have the Cygnus Alpha,
cons and everything. Exactly. So there is a fandom for it, but I don't think of all the things there, it's not advertised as much as other things.
Yeah, well, there you go. You see, I had no idea they had a Blake 7 section.
Yeah.
And I think for anybody who is into Blake 7, by not knowing that, you might not be so ready to jump to go to the museum, even though it's somewhere you want to go.
Yeah.
But to know that it's there, I think that things like that need to be advertised more.
Exactly. You know? So, continuing through Star Wars section, we've then emerged from the other side. I think we're most of the way through the museum by this point. So then we get to a cabinet.
Get to the chopper. There's a chopper coming over.
Yeah, with a sword in it from
another sword.
A beloved film.
Conan the Barbarian.
Nope.
Oh, not another one. Okay, you gonna give me any clues on this? Oh, I can look into your eye. And I can see the quickening.
Yeah.
Highlander.
A signed Highlander sword.
Okay, are we talking about the katana, or are we talking about the MacLeod sword?
The katana. The katana. The classic.
The Ramirez katana.
Exactly, yes. And the coat as well. The coat.
Ramirez's coat?
No, they had MacLeod's coat.
Oh, MacLeod's coat.
His modern day coat.
Ah, right, okay. The Flasher Mac.
That one, yeah.
I went out and bought one of those after seeing that movie.
That's pretty cool.
I know,
Have you still got it somewhere?
I still got it somewhere. I bought that because I thought it was so cool. I got my jeans. I got that coat. I had some baseball boots. And the girlfriend I was going out with at the time said, why on earth are you wearing that Flasher Mac? And it went back in the cupboard and never came out. I thought it was cool.
Anyway, so then you had a couple of like replica Terminator heads and guns and bits and pieces from Terminator, which was pretty cool. I think they had a Terminatrix head. From Terminator 3. Which led to a selfie point.
Why does that sound like Dominatrix?
I think that was the point.
Was that the point?
Probably the point. You had the telephone booth from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Okay, with the coat hangers on the top.
Yeah, so you have a fun little selfie there.
Oh, they allowed you to selfie?
Yeah, and you could actually go in it and like
pretend to be Bill and Ted.
Which
one were you?
I don't know. Who would I be out of those two? Excellent.
I think you'd be the Keanu Reeves.
Okay, so Ted.
Yeah.
Then you had a bit of time.
Bill was a vampire as well.
Yeah, he was in Lost Boys.
Yes.
Good movie. I'm not sure if they had any Lost Boys things. But anyway, they had a Fremen gun from Dune.
Okay. Well, is this one of the original Dune?
Yeah, the 84 one. And a lament configuration. It was kind of like in a cabinet by itself. It was just like a load of assorted bits and pieces.
Yep.
Then you had a Time Bandit section.
Not like the TV series that everybody's going.
Yeah. And a couple of the waistcoat of Peter Cushing and casts of his and Christopher Lee's face.
Or from Dracula.
From like as a representation of like the Hammer films as well.
Hammer films, yeah, excellent.
Which is pretty cool. But it seemed very odd. Like you also had like the little Pazuzu statue from The Exorcist in this cabinet, and
Okay, well, I can see they're going horror there. Aren't they?
Yeah, it was like this could have been presented better. I feel. Yeah, like a bit of a Harry Potter bits and pieces, like wands and stuff, and
I think this sounds like
the Game of Thrones chair you could have a picture on as well.
The Iron Throne.
Honestly, hopefully not being very boring, but we're almost there.
Okay.
So,
I dare say there's lots that you probably haven't covered in this.
Starship Troopers.
Nice. Did they have a bug?
I had a model arachnid, yeah.
Yay!
Interesting fact I found out about that is, the Shriekers from Tremors 2, Aftershocks. They, arachnids in Starship Troopers were kind of an alternate design to the Shriekers.
Oh, really?
In Tremors 2. And they adapted them to be in Starship Troopers.
Ah,
which is interesting. That's why they look similar.
Yeah,
anyway.
So it's the jaw shape, isn't it?
Yeah, you had a Muppet section.
A Muppet section.
Along with Back to the Future hoverboard and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like, literally, final bits now.
Okay.
Vintage Star Wars figures. Lots of them were boxed.
Okay.
So you couldn't really see much of them. Like
these on display, yeah.
These on display, a massive cabinet, and even Star Wars cereal of all things, and pencil case and all that jazz. But unfortunately, a lot of this stuff was boxed, so you didn't really see it on display as much as in like the shop at the front, where they had like the TIE bombers and things hanging down and showing. But this bit was very much a boxed section.
So if they've got originals in the shop, are they for sale?
Somewhere, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
So beyond that point, it was a Star Trek section with lots and lots of clothes and things.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't miss out Star Trek.
Well, exactly. There was like a ton of
Star Trekking across the.
They literally had the Spock with the ears from that.
That was a spit image puppet.
Yeah. And like all the different series of Star Trek, I couldn't like nail down anything particular, but they had Klingons and like I know they had a phaser rifle thing from First Contact as well, which was pretty cool.
Nice. Did they have a Borg?
I think so, but don't hold me to that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to go because you've really plucked my interest.
Beyond this point, we are literally like the final things now. You had a panel from Red Dwarf.
Okay.
From the model of Red Dwarf, you had a panel from that. You had a large scale. What's the Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon?
Oh yeah.
And a Boba Fett mask, and that was very much the last thing. But just before that, this was something that has perplexed me ever since going. There was a fish and a foreign note money in a cabinet, but without any kind of curation at all. So I didn't quite know what it was.
A fish and a foreign
sort
of fish.
I done a small one, a relatively small one. I honestly don't know what it was.
I'd have to see. It wasn't a Babel fish then. It wasn't from Hitchhiker's
There was nothing. There was no signs or anything to say what it was from. So if you do know what the fish and the banknote
refers to,
please let me know. I would love to know, and it's definitely an excuse to go back.
I'm gonna have to go back and see if we can figure this out.
Exactly. So then we are into the shop.
Okay.
And this is a very retro shop. You've got everything from Star Wars, Transformers, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, graded, ungraded, NECA figures, aliens, all the jazz that I absolutely love and surround myself with.
I have another question.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't think you mentioned throughout your quick whirlwind trip through the museum.
Yeah.
Did they have Lord of the Rings stuff?
They did.
They
had a couple of swords. I'm not sure if they were legit. They might have been the replica ones you could get.
Well, anyway, we're back in the shop.
We're back in the shop. They did have kind of like a sharp, I say sharp, like replica, like sword section with Conan sword signed by David Harbour from Stranger Things. He obviously had that in series 4 when he was in the Russian prison. For some reason, he had a Conan sword. And I'm pretty sure they had a Highlander sword and things in that cabinet as well.
Okay.
But it was interesting price-wise, actually.
I was going to come to this. Did you buy anything?
I did buy something, and this is something I've never physically seen in the flesh.
Okay.
I can actually reach it
now. Above our heads?
It's above our heads right now. Oh, goodness gracious. It is a Ripley and Newt NECA figure
She's got
from Aliens.
Pulse rifle and
Flamethrower.
with a bandolier of grenades.
Yes, and I just had to pick that up.
Yeah, don't look her off her stand. That's pretty cool. And the fun thing about that is because in the movie, Sigourney Weaver actually is running around with a puppet Newt in a lot of those scenes. Yeah, and that's quite fun.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't plan on getting this.
You've got a Ripley with a
Ripley. I didn't actually plan on getting that, but I was originally going to get like a pinhead or something, but then I realised I can get it for the same price off of Amazon. This I can't get off Amazon or eBay.
No, I've not seen one of them.
And that is a legit one because I know there's a lot of knockoffs spinning around the
box,
internet.
Yeah.
I've got the box though.
Yeah, must have the box.
I paid a reasonable price. I didn't really want to pay more than I did for it, but I think it was a suitable purchase. It was like 80 pounds.
Okay.
Which could be shocking to some, but not shocking to others.
I disagree because you might say shocking to some. People pay ridiculous amount of money just for a ticket to go and see a football match.
There is that.
I've got no offence to you people who like football. I have no interest in football, so I don't know why you spend that kind of money. But therefore, what I'm saying, Zach, is you can spend what you like on these things. If it's a treat for you, and you're a collector, job done.
Yeah. So, in this book, you had a lot of like boxed vintage Star Wars figures as well.
Wow, they must have been pricey.
And they were pricey. I think the biggest price label I saw on any one of these boxed for sale Star Wars figures was around the £3,000 mark for an IG-88 figure about that big.
Right.
Do
you want to explain
for the audio listeners? How much did you say? Like a foot tall?
A 12-inch figure. But what is the RG?
The IG-88, the bounty hunter one.
Oh, the robotic bounty hunter.
Yeah.
So when you got that scene where Darth Vader's looking up at the bounty hunters that are on the deck of his
Star Destroyer, Super Star Destroyer.
Super Star Destroyer. I just love that when that suddenly came.
You see the shadow over
the top of the Star Destroyers.
Yeah,
I love that sequence. And he's looking up and there's the robot one. Oh, that's interesting because that one featured in
Mandalorian,
didn't it? Yeah.
As well. Yeah. So there was that. Definitely a place to go if you want to collect Lord of the Rings figures. They had boxed and unboxed ones. The loose ones were like £5 each. So I would highly recommend those.
I see tons of them over there.
I didn't buy any from there, but if I was in what I would call a phase of Lord of the Rings, I would definitely head over there to buy some more.
But there is one item that I've noticed ever since we started this podcast, and you did mention at the beginning about that it kind of tweaked your interest, being that you're a classic vintage toy collector.
Yeah. So
do you want to introduce us to what this is?
Okay.
Because it's off screen at the moment.
What I will say is, visiting the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum, it has tweaked my nostalgia
Pushed your button.
Pushed my button in my nostalgia brain. And I do remember, and above the camera right now, you have a lot of vintage Star Wars ships hanging from the ceiling. So, what I saw a lot of...
He's moving off, he's got to get something.
What I saw a lot of at this museum were these Rebel transport ships.
Okay.
And the original Kenner Palatoy Star Wars ships. I'm not too sure as to the specifics, but they had a lot of these in various states of repair.
Okay.
And I had a look at eBay.
Yep.
And purchased
this
one of these.
Do you know what that reminds me of? The scene where it's fire the giant nipple gun, nipple cannon
from Family Guy. Yeah.
Yes.
But for you visual listeners
when they're escaping
on YouTube,
if you could imagine the scene where they're escaping Hoth, and they fire the giant what's it, the plasma cannon or something?
Ion cannon.
Ion. That's it. It's the ion cannon. Yeah. And via the covering themselves right next to the charge from the ion cannon. Yeah. Then this transporter. They can escape Hoth. It's that big transporter that you've got in your hands.
And apparently, this is complete.
Okay.
It's fully complete. It's got all the bits and pieces, which, for what I paid, £50.
£50? It's a bargain, mate.
Was a complete bargain. The stickers are there. The escape hatch is there. The missile turret in the back is there, with all the bits and pieces. I actually bought a couple of figures as well. Just as a little side note, I've got a little squid head guy here. And in the front, I think we've got Lando Calrissian and Princess Leia.
You can come off with it.
I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, we believe you. But that is one. Just want to move it on screen a little bit more for the. Look at that. That is one heck of a. And that's vintage. What's that? 1979.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, it must have come out a couple of years after the actual.
I imagine there's a sign on it somewhere, but I've got to seek that out. But it's got all the bits and pieces on it, and I'm really chuffed with it.
And you wouldn't have gotten that if you hadn't been to the museum?
If I hadn't been to the Sci-Fi Museum, I wouldn't have got this. And I wouldn't have got several things I've got on order at the moment.
Right, so basically, not only was it a great day out, it also tweaked your collector's interest again and has cost you a load of money. but you have managed to seek out what I would consider a really good couple of bargains.
I can't wait to get some fishing line and hang it from my ceiling next to some TIE fighters.
Stick it up in the
rafters
of the
tower studio.
Yeah.
So all in all, I would highly recommend visiting the Film and Sci-Fi Museum.
Okay, I've managed to get a word in. I've been so enamoured with your
bits and pieces
telling us this, taking us on this tour, but I do want to ask a question at the end. Okay. Rating going there, because you obviously seem very keen to say that it's really good.
Yeah.
Are there any negatives to it?
That's a good point, actually. So I've probably got two negatives to the experience, and that's number one, curation. Unfortunately, when it came to signing and signage or information about all these different props and things and various films and things, it would say what the signage was. It would say what it was, but it wouldn't go that extra mile and say that much more about it.
Right, so not like when you go to a normal, say, natural history museum.
It would have a big spiel.
What the thing is, this is a dodo, and this is an extinct thing, and it was from these islands, and you know this is a replica because we don't actually have a proper dodo anymore. Blah, blah, blah.
It would say this is a thing, whether or not it's a replica, and that would be it.
Okay, so
unless it was like a thing that was kind of brought in,
so they could have done with a little bit
more curation,
more information.
Yeah, a bit more information,
a bit more background.
But I imagine that if you're as much as a fan as I am, other people are, I would imagine that you wouldn't really need that.
I know, but if you
for the Joe blogs, then it would.
For example,
it would enhance
you already said Jack didn't know, wasn't familiar with some of the stuff, and therefore, if he's not familiar, somebody else might not be familiar.
Exactly.
And so the extra information would be very helpful.
Exactly.
But you did mention two downsides. That was
the other one. Unfortunately, I'm not talking for all the staff, but some of the staff, especially when I was purchasing Ripley. They did seem a little uninterested.
What day of the week did you go?
This was a weekday.
It was a weekday, okay.
Or is it Saturday? It was a Saturday, actually.
It was a Saturday.
It was a day of the week. Okay. Oh my god.
But they weren't.
But the people at the counter didn't really seem that enthusiastic with the entire place. Really, I think it was probably just like a job for them.
This is a job. I want to get paid and go home.
Yeah. That was kind of the vibe I was getting from them.
Yeah, because I've been to museums before where the staff members are really interested about the art.
I'm not saying that they all weren't, but I think there was a lady there that was actually quite keen on it all. But there are a couple of people behind the counter, no names, no Patron or anything, but they did seem a little disinterested, and especially when I was buying this, they didn't really. They did like, oh, you're spending £80 on that, like.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah, you got that impression from them.
What on earth are you spending money on that for?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
they didn't say it, but that's kind of the impression I perceived from the like facial expressions and things.
Okay.
But there you go.
So overall,
I would definitely recommend it. It's certainly a good portion of a day out. Of course, you can go around more than once, as many times as you want throughout the day. I went through it twice, They are expanding things. I could see in the far distance that they had a load of like model Daleks and things.
Well, this is good because you like to. That's what.
And it obviously expanded because Jack has been there before. It's expanded since he's been there.
Well, that's what you need. Isn't
Exactly.
it? In a place like that, you want it to
grow, which is a good thing for it, and it makes me want to go back.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this as a day out for a sci-fi and film fan?
I would say, other than the negatives, I'd probably put it at a 8.
Oh, that's pretty
8 out of 10 for a day out. Good. Because I just think it needs a little work on the curation and maybe a bit more of a enthusiastic staff.
A bit like when you go down Warner Brothers, all the staff are schooled to be enthusiastic, aren't they? With the members of the public.
Yeah. Well, the Harry Potter world.
Yeah, they always want them to interact.
Exactly.
Because they know the fans are there. You know, I think that's a good thing.
But I enjoyed it, and I would certainly go again, and especially to the shop because I collect things.
Right, well there you go. So that's
are.
the what's it called again?
That was the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum in Milton Keynes.
Which therefore leaves us with just one thing left.
One thing to go.
And that is Wisdom of the Week. And I was thinking, right, I really need to come in, knowing what the theme of this podcast was, I need to come in with some wisdom, which is, let's see if you can guess what this is. This is the wisdom of the week.
Okay, bestow your wisdom.
The wisdom is this. Who is the most foolish? The fool or the fool who follows him?
That seems like a quote.
It is.
Is that a quote from something?
It is.
Have I seen it?
You have.
How many times have I seen it?
I have no idea, but knowing you, probably a few.
Ooh. Is it fantasy or sci-fi?
Sci-fi.
What was it again?
Who is the most foolish, or more foolish? The fool or the fool that follows him?
Oh.
I thought it was topical as well because you've got an awful lot of stuff going on in the news at the moment.
Is it Star Wars?
It is.
Yay! Which one?
I can't tell.
Is it A New Hope?
I can't tell you.
Do you not know?
Who
says
it might actually. Who
says it?
I think it might be.
Is it
I know the
Obi-Wan?
characters. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, yeah.
Who's he saying it to?
Is it Luke Skywalker? I thought it was in the cantina. Oh. Han Solo?
You got it. Well, I'm impressed.
Yay!
I'm impressed.
I'm a Star Wars fan.
Yay!
I need to show off some of my Star Wars things.
Talking to Han Solo.
There we are.
And I thought it was a very good bit of advice from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
One more time.
Who's the most foolish? The fool or the fool that follows him?
And there we are.
There we go. I'll leave it at that. Anyway.
There we are. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of further topics or activities you'd like to listen to in future episodes.
That's a big Blake 7. I'm going to go to the museum to see that. Goodbye from Buzz.
And a big Iron Mole. That doesn't sound. Why would I say Iron Mole goodbye from Zach? No, I've said cosmic before in the last podcast. Intergalactic goodbye from Zach.
Goodbye.
You can find the Now We Know Show podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Keep up to date with everything ZWP on Facebook and Instagram, or visit the Zak Wylde Productions website at www.zakwyldeproductions.com. And remember to join us on Patreon or become a YouTube member for early access content and exclusive episodes.